Yo. Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back, friends of the program. Season 1 is coming to an end. And I took off 1 week to prepare myself for this. And in the beginning, there was only supposed to be 8 episodes. And this is my wife, by the way. She was like, "You're not going to have me on season 1?" And I was like, damn.
No, I was like, "You're not going to have me on season 1?"
So I had to add a couple more. And shout out to my boy, Hector, for doing episode 9. But here we are, the last episode of season 1. And you guys can see I'm wearing sunglasses because we're going to try to be as transparent as possible. And she might be saying some things that I'm going to look at her kind of crazy. And I just don't want her to see that I'm looking at her crazy.
Do not eye rolling.
But here we are. For those of you guys that don't know, this is my wife, my beautiful wife of almost 20 years now, Brenda Hernandez. Thank you, babe, for being part of season 1.
Thank you for inviting me after I told you I had to be on.
Right. Damn, this is kind of crazy for me because obviously I live with her. I see her all day long. You know, we go to bed together. We wake up together. So it's not even going to be a Q&A. I think it's going to be more of a conversation because the questions that I, would potentially ask her, I probably already know the answers. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, we got to get started. For those that don't know, they're going to want to know how we met.
We've been through a lot. So I think we've always tried to be honest with our relationship with people. And a lot of people have seen like a lot of stuff we've gone through. So I think just being honest, and it's not easy, being married for 20 years and trying to run businesses and raise kids and the economy and just everything. I think it's just when you're honest about the struggles, I think in the hardships, but the beauty too. I think it's so important to like let people know that.
Right. And as you guys can see, she still didn't answer my question, right? I asked her a question and she just went off on her own.
Say?
I said, for those of you guys that don't know, let them know how we met.
Oh.
And you went off on this.
I do that often. I have like selective hearing with this guy.
Oh, by the way, we had to get the pink Bel Air today, obviously.
And then my signature drink is the Red Bull and vodka. And
we're both having that. So cheers. So yeah, anyways, babe.
How did we meet? Well, shout out to Veronica and Freddie. I was 18. And am I telling the story or are you?
You're telling the story, girl.
Oh, okay. So it was a little psychotic. I was 18 years old and, well, are we telling the house or are we talking about like Walmart? There's kind of 2 stories. Okay.
You could go however you want. I want to hear your side
My
of the
version?
story. Yeah, I want to hear your version.
So, okay, so I always tell my husband he can't complain about me because I am who I am and he met me this way. And we had a party at Veronica and Freddie. Shout out to you guys. And I got kind of wasted. I slammed my head on the table. And then
remember, she just said she was 18 when I met her.
They put me to sleep. And then Freddie was like, "Hey, there's this girl. You got to check her out. Like, she's super dope or she's cool or whatever." And then by the time he got there, I was already passed out. And, like, he opened the door. And from what I know, he said, is, like, that's going to be my wife one day. So I always say, don't ever talk crap about me because this is how you met me. And you loved me from the day you saw me.
And I still remember that day. I did show up kind of late. And, Freddie was like, "Yo, this is the chick that I was going to introduce you to. But she passed out. She drank too much or whatever. I don't know what he said. But anyways, you were passed out. And I was like, fuck. But then.
I used to have fun people. Sorry.
But then, you were in a softball team.
I was on a softball team.
With them. Mm-hmm. She was on a team. So I was like a groupie.
You're such a groupie.
I was like, all right, let me see let me see, Fred, let me see what you're talking about over here. So I would go to the softball games, and I was like, all right, okay. And then yeah, so tell them, let them know
This
after.
is where my psychotic side comes in. So we went to celebrate a win, and we went to Round Table Pizza, and I heard, like, I was watching him, but we didn't have interaction. Like, there was just something, there was just like a vibe about it. And then I heard him say that, so he was bald at the time, and I heard him say that he was gonna go to Walmart to go get shavers. And it just like, for some reason, it just like magnified in my head that he was gonna go do that. So then I my crazy ass, I just follow him to Walmart. Like, he's in his Eclipse and I'm in my Saturn, and I'm just like following him, and we get to Walmart, and I'm like maybe like 4 minutes behind him. And then I walk to the shaving cream aisle, and I'm like, oh, hey, like, you're Veronica and Freddie's friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start to talk. And that's when, like, Starbucks was the shit. So, like, it had just came out.
Like, it had just came like here to the
Antelope
AV,
Valley.
yeah.
And then he's like, do you want a coffee? And then I just, like, I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I don't even drink coffee, but whatever. I was like, yeah, sure, let's have a coffee. And then we talked for literally, like, 6 hours in the car.
Yeah, like, at this time, like, I didn't know. I should have been like, hey, do you want to go to Medrano's, or do you want to go have a drink?
But I was 18.
I was like, you want to go get a coffee? But yeah, we sat there for a while. Just, I think it was just early in the morning. Like, I was like, well, then we got to go. Like, this shit's like 6 hours in of nothing but conversations. Mm-hmm. And she says during this conversation, it came up that she felt like she couldn't have kids, right?
I had started a very hard medical journey. I was super young. It was hard. And they told me I couldn't have kids. So I told him, like, hey, I can't have kids. Like, you know, no need to worry about that sucker.
Right. So a little time
2
later,
weeks later.
like a month later, she's like,
I find out.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, what? Like,
he thought I was lying to him, and I wasn't lying. Like, now that he knows, like, after like that happened, the journey, like, now he got to see the journey that I had to go through medically. So I wasn't lying, but it was just, for me, I think I just had
super sperm. But, you know, once we found out that we were pregnant, I just, you know, you got to understand, we're almost 12 years apart. Mm-hmm. I know I look kind of young, but I'm about to turn 50. She's about to turn 39. So yeah, so there was a big age gap. Yeah. And I felt ready. Like, you know, when she told me she was pregnant, right, I took on the role. I said, don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of you.
And for me, it was a miracle. So I was just excited, like, because I didn't think that was possible.
Right. And then, yeah, sure enough, she's pregnant. We end up moving out. Like, our life just changed, you know, like, from one day to the next. Like, it just went from just, you know, going out, partying. I was getting ready to buy a sports car. And then she gave me these news, and I was like, fuck, like, damn, there goes my sports car. We ended up getting a
Nissan. What were you getting?
Yeah, like, at the time, I wanted a like a 350 Z convertible, and
like, the
yeah, like, I was like
gonna get approved.
I was saving my money for it and everything, and yeah, like, it just, you know, it went down the drain, but it was all good. But yeah, we had our daughter, and she'll be on, you know, shortly.
Freaking amazing.
And it was awesome, you know, but it changed. Excuse me. It changed our life for good forever, you know, having that first child. And it was crazy. You know, we went from, just being able to do whatever we wanted to now we can't.
At that time, I had graduated when I was like 15 years old. So, like, I was just living the best of my life. And I was just, you know, me thinking like, oh, you know, you're 18, you can do what you want. Not realizing that God had a plan to just sit there and totally flip my life around. But it now that I look back, I wouldn't change anything. And like I'm not like a psychotic person that's like gonna go stalk this guy. There was just something in my heart that just led me to him. And now that I see why and how and everything, like that shit to me is like amazing how it worked out.
Yeah, it definitely has worked out. I still remember, having to tell her parents that she was pregnant, and their parents they're super cool, but
Yeah. Not my grandparents.
right. But I didn't know this. Because of the age gap, she told her parents that I was like 23, right? And she was 18. So there's not that much of a difference.
That's before
right?
I found out I was pregnant, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When we went and met your parents.
He wanted to, he was like so determined to meet my parents. And he's like, hey, let me like meet your parents.
Yeah.
I was kind of
So
scared.
in a span of a year, I went from...
a month?
No. In a span of a year, I went from being 23 to my actual age of like 29. So it was like, this dude's 23. And then 2 months later, I was 25. And then 3 months later, I was 27. And then her dad was like, I don't get it, man. This fool, like he started at 23 like 8 months ago. And now he's 29. But by then, everything was all cool. Like I had already talked to him. I told him that I was going to take care of her. They were all in, which is crazy because here I am with an 18-year-old, an 18-year-old daughter, and
wife,
I'd probably flip the fuck out if she came and was like, I'm dating a 29-year-old. You know what I mean?
You don't realize it at the time,
right.
the time span that we had.
But it was cool. Like, we moved out. We we're starting our little family, right? And yeah, it's not all like, it's not always all good. We got our good days or bad days. It's just like a business. It's a fucking roller coaster.
I think that's the thing. We're polar opposites. Like
100%.
we're literally, if you really know us, you'll see we're completely opposite.
Definitely yin and yang.
And that's a struggle in itself because I see life one way and he sees life another way. So for us to actually find that balance in between each other has always been a challenge for us. But I also think that it balances us out. Like he's more of like the chill, like relaxing. I'm more of the crazy, outgoing person. So I think that's been probably the biggest problem in our marriage, I would say, because we always we don't see eye to eye.
It's like
on a lot of stuff.
I think the biggest problem has been like finding the balance, the right balance, because too much of everything, obviously, it's not good. So yeah, it's definitely been a challenge, and we're like 20 years in, and we're still having to deal with that. Like we still struggle with it. Moving forward, a couple years later, we have our son, which is it was so dope. Like I still remember I was at work and she went to you went to your ultrasound, and then she brings back the pictures and she's like, look at that right there. And I'm like, oh hell yeah. I was like, damn, that's dope.
I went to one of my visits. It was a quick one. It was supposed to be just like a confirmation that I was pregnant. And I was so shocked that I was like doing it again. And then thankfully Dr. Leonard, Dr. Baker, amazing team. They're still like Dr. Baker's amazing. We had some friends that worked there because my mom used to work there. And they gave me a free ultrasound. They're like, hey, we got a new machine, a 2D machine. Can you come and can we like practice on you? I got so excited. And then, so I found out very early that I was going to have a boy. So I realized that day I was going to have my boy and my girl. And I couldn't wait to tell him. And we were so like,
yeah, that was like my, like our,
at that point.
I don't know if it was like that for you, but for me, that's what I wanted. I wanted to have a girl and I wanted to have a boy. I wanted to have just the couple, the pair. And yeah, she comes over and she shows me and I was fucking happy. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he pops out and
he was a tough one. He was a tough one though, because that's when I knew stuff was starting to happen. Like
the crazy
He
thing
was
is,
premature.
my son was born a day before,
Yeah.
and not even like a day before. He was born
3 hours.
like 3 hours before my birthday. And
His
I still,
original birthday was October 23rd.
yeah, and I still remember, like, I was in the room with her, and I'm, you know, it was like 8:30 at night, and I'm like, man, I gotta go get something to eat. So I'm walking out to go get some food, and then her mom calls me, and she's like, hey, you need to come back. You know, like, I was already happy, like, damn, this fool's gonna be born on my birthday. Like, we're gonna share a birthday, everything. And nope, like, he just,
not the case.
that wasn't his plan. Like, he wanted out. So yeah, he was born on 9/10, and then my birthday's on 9/11. But yeah, you know, again, like, it was just dope, like, having our little family just grow. And then it was dope too, like, having the pair. You know, you have the girl, you have the boy. It was dope, like, buying them shoes, buying whatever. It was just a dope time.
So many shoes.
And yeah, like, you know, again, like, it was a roller coaster because we had to manage how to deal with, you know, work, time with them, you know, making time for ourselves. And then I think a lot of times that's when, as a man, like, you focus on nothing but work because you have to provide. And I think that's what ended up happening with us. You know, I built my brand, my first brand, which she gave me the name for, you know, and it was, it blew up. You know, our brand was everywhere, and I was dedicated to my brand. And I'm already having, you know, I have a family, but in my head, all I'm thinking is, you know, let me grind so that I can provide. You know, if she wants a new car, she can get a new car. She wants to buy a house, we can get a new house. We want to go on vacation, we can go on vacation.
And
but
in my head, I'm thinking, where are you at? Like,
right, I was gone, like, from the morning to like late at night, and then I'd come home, just eat dinner, and then I'd be on the computer all over again, you know, like, till late. And this was happening at least 5-6 days a week. We really didn't make time for ourselves.
We didn't realize the priority of family
at
that time. And I know now I know, as I'm older, we've been together 20 years. I know his intentions were to provide for our family, but I felt like so many times that I was like a single mom. Like, he was just work. And like, that was hard because you miss the moments, and you miss the time together. And he was an amazing father, don't get me wrong. It's not like he was completely MIA, but as far as trying to juggle being a father, being a husband, being a, you know, at that point his business was freaking exploding, you know, doing all of that stuff, it's like, where does everything fall into place? So I think that was really hard for us to figure out. And I think that's where kind of our marital problems started, was at that point.
Right. Yeah, it was you know, a good 5 years in, you know, like, after we had kids, you know, we start seeing the problems. And you can imagine, like, the same routine over and over and over again, 6 times a week. And then that one day you have free, you're so tired, you don't want to do anything. Right. So then we made no time for ourselves.
We were completely off balance.
Yeah, we were like you know, and we're going to go there. Like, 2013, you know, was the worst year of my life, you know.
Mine too.
Not only did, you know, that business that had taken off, not only did I have problems with my ex-partner, you know, we ended up shutting down the business because of problems. And then we ended up, you know, separating that same year. So everything was like, remember I said, like, it was a roller coaster. It was like we were down here, like down here. And yeah, 2013 was easily the worst year of my life. And, you know,
for me, I was just angry. I was angry because it was in the back of my head, there was simplicity. There was make time for your family. But then I just got so angry that I ended up becoming somebody so different. Like, I literally rebelled in our marriage, and that was hard. because at that same point though, when that happened, so the same year at 2013, when he lost his business, I ended up, was it that year? Yeah. I ended up having to have a medical procedure that literally like destroyed me. Like it took everything away from me. So he was dealing with his loss, I was dealing with mine, and we couldn't help each other at that point. It was hard.
Yeah, we were so off balance.
Opposite,
yeah. Like I'm here and she's here, and we're not even trying to meet in the middle. So yeah, we end up separating. She moves out.
We separated for a year.
I told the story like I didn't pay the house for like 8 months. I didn't even care. My truck got repoed. My cousin had to help me, like take it out. Shout out to my cousin Will. But it was a fucked up time. And then, that's why my boy Ernie plays a big part, like in my personal business, in my personal side, because he was always there for me. There was people there for me, but Ernie was there every single day telling me not to give up, because as a creative person, imagine just losing your multi-million-dollar business and then losing the love of your life, not seeing your kids all the time, being alone. It was definitely like, it was hard, and he was there every single day. And there was times when, I had no money, like we had no fucking money. And we just found whatever we had in the pantry, whether it was cookies, cup of noodles, whatever it was, like just to eat something so we can keep going. Cause he was building my websites. I was trying to design. But it was a tough time.
It was super hard.
That
was our ultimate ground zero.
Yeah, that was like negative. Like that went below zero.
Like that's where my mental health just became like, it was hard.
And during that same time, like she found God. She started going to church. She met some wonderful people that helped her out.
Back end on that, and I am going to be so honest with that. January 7th of that same time, I tried to commit suicide of overdose. And January 8th, I woke up and my whole life changed. And we were still separated. And I couldn't even come to him because we weren't together. We didn't talk. We didn't nothing. But my life changed that day. And I was thankful for that because that was the hardest time. But I was so like, that's how destroyed our marriage was, our family was, that I gave up, but I got saved too at the same time. And that I always say because it was the hardest time of my life. I was sick. I was dealing with my health. I was dealing with everything. And I couldn't put that burden on him because I know he was going through his loss too. Now I know why you wore your glasses.
Yeah.
But I was going through my loss too. And like, when I tell you, you can very easily lose everything. You can very easily lose everything.
From one day to the next.
From one day to the next. And I remember I finally had the courage. In my heart, it was the courage to file for divorce. So I did. I went to the courts. I filed for divorce. And I just remember praying over my paperwork. And I just said, okay, Lord. Like, I still wasn't talking to him at the time. But I just said, okay, Lord, if you want this divorce to happen, you are going to let it go. And you're going to let it go free. And if you don't, you're going to stop it dead in its tracks. And for me, I just submitted all my paperwork. And then like 30 days in, I didn't hear anything back. And then I went to the courts and they said that your case defaulted. And I didn't understand what that meant. And they told me that pretty much it's in limbo. So you either have to refile or you have to, it dissolves like it never existed and you're still married. I didn't know what he did on his end, but for me, it was me saying, go back and fix your marriage. Go back and do what you have to do because God's trying to get your attention to restore this. And so imagine like in this time, like our divorce, our separation was so ugly. Like it became super ugly. And so the last time I talked to him, it was like a war. And then I call him and I just tell him like, hey, I feel like God is trying to tell me to save my marriage. Like, can you please meet me? And for whatever reason, he did. And we actually met at the park. And I just said, like, this is what happened. I don't know why. Can we just fix it? And we did. Like, we gave it a shot.
Yeah. One thing, like, I remember when we first separated, it was every single day, just the arguing, the arguments, to talk shit back, like back and forth. And that did nothing for me creatively. Like from the morning to late at night, it was nothing but that.
And I'm
so
like,
can you imagine?
Thought about, though.
Can you imagine me trying to still provide? Like I still provide.
Yeah,
like I still had to give her money for the kids, for her, whatever. I still gotta try to live. I just told myself. I just said, you know what? I'm just not gonna argue. I'm not gonna argue anymore. So then, when I started doing that, that's when things started to change. And then when she, when she hit me up, like, hey, I feel like we need to talk. I was okay with talking. Mm-hmm. And, this is, it was about a year in, we finally talked, we decided to get back together. And there was some things like, hey, none of this.
I was super like spiritual at the time. Cause like, you have to remember, I literally went to sleep with every intention to never wake up. And I woke up and then all of a sudden this like amazing feeling came over my body where I knew the truth. And it was such an overload for me. And this is just me being by myself. Like I was literally in a CHF at the time. I was so sick. I was 80 pounds. I was struggling so hard mentally, physically, emotionally. So when my whole life like overturned, God was just this amazing person that I couldn't shut my mouth about. Like I was so excited. So when I would go and I would talk to him like, oh my God, God, he was like, do me a favor, don't put your beliefs on me. Like you keep them to, not saying he didn't believe, but just like don't make me
like
don't person.
Like overload me with all of this,
It was always about scripture and
right.
God.
And I was like, look, it wasn't like this before. And I'm the type, like, I want to make sure that you're being real about it. Like, don't just come in and because today you feel this way, you're going to talk to me about God and this and this and that. So I was just like, look, keep that to yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you not to. Like, you do you, but don't just let me be. Let me be.
I would literally pray to tame my tongue because we would get in arguments about it. Like, it was just like, you're with somebody totally different. And so he was finding his place. I was finding my place. And we just knew in our hearts that we were supposed to be together. We were supposed to stay together. And something was going to come of this.
Right.
And then that's when, like, we started rebuilding. And we started learning.
So we just said, too,
other.
like, one thing that we didn't do back then, because I had already started my new brand, and it was starting to, I dug myself out of that hole that I was in 2013. This was mid 2014, almost 2015. Like my brand is little by little starting to take off again. And yeah, I just said, look, I'm going to work from this time to this time. Yeah. And when I shut it off, I'm shutting it off for the day. Like we can have our time with the kids, us together, whatever it is. So we try to, little by little, we try to find that balance. And I mean, like I said earlier, we're still trying to do that. And especially now with her having her business. But, fast forward, we went through all that.
And we survived it.
And we survived it, and that's why it's dope too. Like when we're able to talk about it because we did survive it. And it was there was a lot of
hurt.
It was all bad, but we were able to survive that and then move forward and like start all over again,
than we've ever been before.
And so when we got back together, like 2014, she came to me with this idea of, when I was sitting there in the apartment, like I was thinking of opening a store. And then I was like, like here, like where we have our store, it's a boulevard. It's like downtown, like everything's here, right? She was like, I wanted to open this store and I wanted to have, vendors come in and like set up shop. And I was like, nah, I was like, nope. Because in my mind, I'm thinking partnerships, right? Like you're going to be partners with that person, this person. So I just shut it down.
So I have to be brutally honest on this. And I know it's probably going to be hard to touch base. And it's probably going to be like, careful what you say. But at that time, I was also addicted to drugs. And one day he came in and I was totally on one. And I saw these images of these squares and these businesses. And he came in and he was like I'm telling him, like, I'm going to own an ice cream place and I'm going to have a photography studio and I'm going to have this. And I sounded crazy. And he paid no attention to it at that time because I literally sounded crazy. But I do believe that at that time, that's where God really gave me the vision for this place. And I say that because I'm not proud of my past. It's something that I battled for a long time. But God called me at the time where I was my weakest. And I was doing stuff that I shouldn't have done. But he still chose me. So I'm super big on that because when you're in your rut and when you're in your lowest point, that's kind of the time where a lot of times you get called to actually fulfill your purpose so that you don't give up. So as much as it's hard, because I have kids, my kids are 19 and 17, as hard as it is to sit there and say that your mom struggled with a drug addiction when she was young, for whatever reason it may be, I was still called to do something amazing that just gave me a little bit of hope. And this is when we were separated at the time. So I just want to share that because that was really important to me. And he didn't see it. He didn't see the vision.
I didn't even see it. Like
all.
Once we got back together, I was like, nah, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Like, but in my mind, again, like I'm thinking you're going to be partners with 10. At the time, she was like, I want to have this little shop with like 10 people in there. Some people are going to like make candles and some people are going to make this. And I was like, no, like it's not going to work. I said, it's not going to work. So for whatever reason, like she didn't, and I'm going to tell you straight up, like when she wants something, like she's pushy. Like she is fucking pushy. But for whatever reason with this, when I just shut it down, she let it be. Like she it was always in the
back of my mind, but I just knew I couldn't do it alone.
So then fast forward a couple of years, my brand keeps taking off and I'm working, I'm working from home. And then we got all these boxes at the house in the garage and the living room, like little by little, like I knew it was time to get another shop. So here we are, like starting this whole shop thing all over again. Like,
on the boulevard again.
So then I found a spot here on the boulevard, and one of my boys was supposed to take the spot where she's at now, and he was going to open a vintage store, and for whatever reason he decided not to, and it was already built out. So when I was talking to the owners, they let me know like this guy's not going to do it. So I let her know, and then she came to look at it, and then that's when that whole concept she had, like from like 5-6 years ago, like it just came back.
It was like 10 years when I walked into that.
Right?
Place,
yeah, it was more like 10 years. 10 right? Years.
When I walked into that place, it was a shell. It was an empty vessel, and I just remember the vision that I saw. I just knew this was the place, and at that time, I was going through the hardest time of my life.
Right. It was right about like it was during COVID. And her dad, rest in peace, he ended up passing away from COVID. So it was super hard on her. It was hard on me too. But I'm a lot different when it comes to death. But for her, it was really like her first time experiencing death that close.
It was my father and my grandmother.
Yeah, so her dad passed away at the end of the year, and then her grandma passed away like 3 days later. So it was super tough on her. And
then I was diagnosed.
And then she was diagnosed too. So she was having some medical problems. But I think the dope thing about it is that idea, that concept she had, like she didn't give up on it. Like she had all this shit coming down on her, right? But that idea was still there, and then she made it happen.
I needed my purpose because I was already a suicide survivor. I felt the depression kicking in again, and I felt the giving up kicking in again. And I literally surrendered everything to God, and I said, I can't do this. I know I can't do this alone. I need my purpose. I need my dream. I need my desire. Like, you need to give me what I need to be able to live. And the vision just came alive. And, you know, I didn't know the journey that I was going to have to take because it was hard. You know, I just 2 weeks ago, I completed my 13th surgery in the last 2.5 years. And I'm still running an amazing business, an amazing brand that God gave me when I was like 10 years ago. And that's the thing, like you may not see why or who or like the future or like whatever, but like now that I look back, that saved me. Like my business saved my life. And then opening up, and it saved my marriage. It saved my, because now I was such a bitch to him because he took too much time at work. He was constantly working. He was constantly doing all this. It was just work, business. But then when I got my store, it was my turn. And it was business. And it was work. And it was dedication. And now I apologize to him because I didn't realize that he was just doing what he needed to do to provide for his family. He had a desire. He had a passion. He had a this. So I'm over here complaining because I don't have time with him, but not realizing he was just doing it because he was so happy doing it, you know? So I apologize because now my job consumed me, but it kept me so busy that I couldn't worry about my health. I couldn't stress about my dad. I couldn't worry about my grandma. I couldn't worry about what life was giving me. I had to give my full dedication. So if I would have a surgery, I would wake up and I would be like, I have 1 week to get back to work because if not, this place is going to fall apart. And then, you know, being surrounded by 100 vendors who have their stories too, it was such an uplifting place. So for the first time, I was able to work with my husband. For the first time, I was able to understand my husband. I was able to sit there and say, thank you for doing what you did, you know? So,
say it again.
Shut up.
But look, check this out. So, but yeah, so it whatever concept she had in her brain, like we made that shit happen. And man, let me tell you, it was so dope. Like it was just dope. Like her, and keep in mind, like her dad was a general contractor. Like this fool, like creative. Like
that was brutal.
Like he would build some shit for me. Like I would just kind of just tell him what I wanted, and you know, within a couple weeks, a week, whatever, like he'd have it built for me.
Most talented man I've ever
met. Like he's the one that took all my Jordan boxes, for those that don't know, but it's on Sneaker News and you guys can hit me up. I'll send you guys the link. I came to him with, I had all these, you know, I've always bought shoes and I had all these Jordan boxes and I came to him and I said, look, man, I want to do something with all these Jordan boxes. I don't want to throw them away. And he's like, all right, I got you. So I take him like 100 boxes. I don't even know how many, but I took him a bunch of just empty boxes and he hooks up the dopest, like Air Jordan 1, like the Wings logo, in 3D. Like the ball was in 3D, made out of boxes.
Angel wings.
And then the wings, and then like a back, like it was just so dope. And it was like, I think it was like 5 feet by 10 feet. It was huge. And I had it, like I put it up on my, you know, in my office, and everybody that came through, they were like, damn, this shit is dope. Like, so yeah, like if you guys want to check it out, like this man was creative. And all I did was just give him the concept. Again, like, this is what I want. Like, I didn't even tell him what I wanted. I said, do something with these. And then he took a look at the Wings logo.
Get my talent from him.
And then, you know, and then he just made it happen. But it was crazy too, because, you know, she had an idea it wasn't like, let's go buy furniture at IKEA and, you know, everything was custom. And so she drew it out.
I'm a visual person.
So she drew it out,
Yeah.
and the contractor that we hired, you know, it was like
Shout out
day in
to
and
Chris. Thank
day
you.
in, day out. He was in here like, this is what you want. Okay. All right. Oh shit. Okay. We got to make this happen for her. And if you guys go into her store, that shit looks dope. Like her store looks
And it was crazy
dope.
because I saw this blueprint in my head, and like I knew that I needed this blueprint, and I didn't know what I was doing. I'm not, but also the thing that was happening was I would work there at the same time, and so like when they would come and ask me questions about, you know, the floor, the layouts, the plans, all of that, it was, and I would hear like the nails going into the wall. Like it was brutal for me too, because my dad should have built that place.
Mm-hmm.
My dad he would have done it perfect. And so that was like healing for me, because he knew my vision when I wanted it originally. So like,
but I could see it too. Like at times, it was hard because she would sit there and be like, my dad should have been doing this. Like my dad should have been doing this for me right now. And he would have done it. But you know, it's like, it's life. It's what happens, you know, and
long
at the end of the day,
short,
like it's going to happen to all of us. But, you know, she became an entrepreneur.
Pretty Little Poppy.
Right. And I was going to ask you too, like, for those that don't know, let them know what it is, what Pretty Little Poppy is.
I own Pretty Little Poppy off of Lancaster Boulevard. We house over 100 local businesses. We've expanded. We do pop-up events. We have a thrift store, which is my heart. Anybody in need that just needs clothes, no questions asked. You can come and you can get clothes. I'm able to minister out to the people now. I'm able to provide a safe haven for people to just come and create and just be who they are. We do everything, even just here. This is a part of it. You know, having this podcast, shout out to Mike Reed for supporting us in our dream. I never would have thought that Nestor would ever do something like this, but it's allowed for him to communicate. That's one thing, like as a wife, my husband struggled with is communication, to be open and honest and just talk about his feelings.
I'm a Virgo.
He's more than that. But like just the fact that he can sit there and open up, it's been such a blessing for us. So I get to watch people that have a vision in their head actually bring their product to life, and to be able to do stuff. We have Entrepreneur for Kids. We have our boutique. We have an event events where you can look at Blinky. She, you know, this is her second year of doing disability awareness. She's able to promote. She has a platform now. It's just amazing. Like when I really allowed God to sit there and just open up this opportunity. One thing he always told me was never to stop people. You know, he'll provide for the rent. He'll provide for the vendors. He'll provide for all of that. If you truly believe that you have a passion and a need and a want. And my husband has supported me from the beginning with this. And that's why I say, like, our journey has been hard. Our journey has been brutal. But at the end of the day, I do feel love wins. You know, we're still together. We're still super happy. You know, thankfully, my health is a little bit better now. You know, he supported me this whole time. And now I see my struggle of a business.
And like, shout out to all the friends. Like, we have some really good friends that has supported and stuck with us. They've seen it. They've seen this fucking roller coaster ride of ours, and they're still around, you know, so shout out to them, and they know who they are.
Today.
You know, they know who they are.
That's what it's about. It's about love.
But yeah,
it's
you guys got to come and check out the store. Like it's definitely not a store that, like, when you think Lancaster, you're like, damn, I didn't know like something this nice would exist out here. Let me ask you a question.
Oh my God. Okay.
So, okay, you're like 2 years deep into this store now, right? And again, it's been a roller coaster ride. You know, I see it every day. Like, where do you see the store or the brand in 5 years?
My ultimate goal is to franchise. I've always said, like, through the growth of like businesses, you start off as a box. If you can gradually increase and you can withhold that, then you're ready for a brick and mortar. So my goal is if people want to run a business similar to mine, which for me is zero competition, zero anything. I do believe in this world that the world is big enough for all of us to succeed. If somebody is willing to put that energy and that, effort into having a brick and mortar, I would love to help them build a poppy for themselves and franchise one day.
Okay. Yeah. What about the kids program? Like, where do you see that going?
Kids program, it's always been a challenge because I graduated high school. I did work at Penny Lane and I helped the transitional aged youth. So I've always had a passion in my heart for that. But we have a program, minors to majors, for local youth entrepreneurs. And I feel like if you give them an opportunity to be able to grow themselves individually, they can literally be prepared for life. We help them do their business, give them a logo, give them business cards. They get to work register. So when they do get jobs, they can put us as a reference. It's a free program. All they have to do is volunteer 4 hours. So my ultimate goal is if anybody's willing to sponsor or help or support our kids, just to give them an opportunity to do what they love. Because a lot of times kids come to their parents and they're like, oh, I want to do art. Oh, I want to, do ceramics. Oh, I want to be an apparel designer. And they're like, no, you have to go to college and you have to go do this. And I don't necessarily believe that. I believe that God gives you gifts and those gifts will provide. My daughter's in college, so I'm not against college. My daughter's in college, but my son wants to go a different route and that's okay, So I do hope that I can build that to where it's an actual program that's.
How many kids do you have right now, babe?
I have 16 kids right now.
And then you're having I just saw like today you're having a pop-up too, like a kids pop-up, right?
We are. We're having another pop-up that's coming up.
And this is like it's ran by the kids.
Yeah, they get to talk to people.
Right.
They get to, like my thing, like just say for example, money. Like I hate it. I hate it when people just hand money and like don't actually like count it and put it in their hand just to be respectful. So like things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just want to teach them ways of living, ways of providing, ways of doing what they love and it being good.
Yeah. So if any of you guys, I know there's a lot of you guys out there that follow us. If you feel it in your heart, man, you guys want to support these kids, and it doesn't take a whole lot. No, you know what I mean? It's
$20 goes a long way.
It goes a long way, man.
Even longer. Like,
but these kids, man, they have a vision, they have a dream, and it's so dope when they see that someone believes in them. And we're teaching them how to network, how to communicate, how to do everything. That's why she has them. That's why she has them come in and volunteer hours at the store so they can learn. How to. You can put it on
a resume that you work customer service, that you work like I have a kid that couldn't even say hello, and now he can sit there and just tell you the whole nine. So.
Everything, yeah. So listen, babe. I know ours was more of a conversation, but every single show, I ask my guest, I flip the mic, and Blinky's the one that gave me the hey yo Ness, right? Shout out to Blinky. So this is I'm gonna give you that opportunity too, because I have to give it to every single guest. I'm gonna flip the mic to you. You get to ask me a question, and then I'm gonna answer it the way I guess I want to.
All right then.
So
can I do like a twofer?
Yeah, because you're my wife, you can go ahead.
So my thing is, my question is, one, from your past, what's one thing from your past that you would change to have a redo? And then two, what's your ultimate goal for the future?
Oh, this is easy. What I would change, we got married in 2006. I met her in 2004. We had our daughter in 2005. So everything moved quick. Like I didn't really get to know her, and vice versa. She didn't get to know me. When we got married, I told her I was going to get married in Jordans. You guys know me. Like I'm a sneaker dude, right? So, and I have my collection. Sorry, and by the way, my brother-in-law just sent me a video and he was like, bro, like all these shoes you had in your collection. And then I text them back, yeah. And I got rid of those so that I could get married. For those of you guys that don't know, I had this dope Jordan collection. And when it was time for us to get married, I got rid of all my Jordans. I sold them so that we can get married. And what I would change is I would have just stuck my ground. I would have just been like, yeah, I'm getting married in these Jordan 11s and I'm getting married in these Jordan 11s. I wasn't having that shit neither. And yeah, but I didn't know him. So yeah, we really didn't know each other. You know what I mean? So if I could change that, that would be what I would change.
I always say that. That's weird.
You know.
I say that same shit.
And what was the second question? I forgot.
What's your ultimate goal in the future?
To retire.
Can I retire with you?
No, you're younger. You're way younger. Like I need to retire. I am.
Whatever. I'm out.
I'm almost 50. So my goal was to retire at 50. And I mean, I can still do it, but I don't think I'm going to do it. But
let's do it, baby.
But it's in the works. Where
there's a will, there's a way.
And then that is a goal of mine. But yeah, there you go. Those are my answers.
So this is the crazy couple. That's crazy, but we love each other. And if you love hard,
we're definitely yin and yang.
We're so yin and yang. It's ridiculous.
I keep telling you guys that I'm an introvert. This one right here is an extrovert.
But I'm also super shy, so I don't know. I think I'm that one weird one.
Maybe.
But whatever.
But yeah.
He still stays.
Any last words before I get the kids on here?
You're so blessed to have such an amazing wife.
All right. So with that being said, babe, I thank you so much for first of all
making me come on here.
Make you be on the show. And yeah, man, I know you're gonna do big things with Pretty Little Poppy.
Hey, so. Last words, like if you're struggling, if it's hard, if life is challenging, like those are the best opportunities to sit there and make some shit happen. And we have been through hell and back. And we stayed together through it all. And I wouldn't change anything. Like
I wouldn't change anything but the Jordans. That's it.
I even branded him, so I win.
That's it. Anyways, thank you, babe.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Love you.
You guys ready? Yeah, let's do it. Yo, we are back. Part 2 of episode 10, Family Ties. I told you guys I was going to bring in my wife and kids. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation I had with my wife. It's time, to have a little conversation with my kids. Let me just say, this is so dope for me, just to be able to have this platform and then to be able to ask my kids questions. I never thought, I ask them questions every single day, but not in this form. So it's so dope to me to be able to do that. And thank you guys these kids are hardly ever home. So thank you guys for being here. How do you guys feel? I know before you say anything, I know my son, this is Ness Jr. and this is Jasmine Rose. My son's done plenty of, interviews. If you guys don't know, like he designed the 2022, the celebrity jersey during the All-Star game. So he was chosen out of this whole pool of, youngsters to represent the West Coast. He was chosen and he designed it along with Converse and Nike. So we went on a tour and I felt like I was his manager. It was interview after interview, event after event, and it was so dope to see that. But during that same time, my daughter started her own business, which is, the bouquets, the floral bouquets. So it's dope to see that, like they're following in our footsteps without us even telling them. But how do you guys feel? Like, how do you feel, Jasmine, being, in front of the camera and on the microphone for the first time?
It feels good. I think this being my first time having you guys by me makes it a little bit more natural in a way. But yeah, I'm happy here.
And I love the fact, like, she rushed over here. She like my wife said earlier, she's in college, but she also has 2 jobs. She just got a brand new car, so she has to make that car payment. But it was one of those things where she actually worked at both jobs today, and then she just rushed over here to be able to do this. So thank you. How do you feel, son?
Feels good. Like I haven't done it in a while, so it's definitely like fun getting back into it in a sense.
That's right. So let's get into it a little bit. Obviously you have your brand, you have your business, and then you too. Like, what made you guys want to do that? Like, what was it that inspired you to say, you know what, let me try to be an entrepreneur?
Okay. What started out for me was I kind of saw it as like a sense of like self-expression, because like in 6th grade, that's when I started like wearing clothes that were like different than what everybody else was wearing. And that's not to say like I'm different, blah blah blah, I'm cool, whatever. But it was definitely like you could tell I wanted to express myself in some type of way. So being able to express myself, like making clothes or like even owning my own brand, my own clothing and stuff, it allows me to get that expression out, and it allows me to just have like it allows me to get people to know what I'm about or what I feel or like how I am as a person.
Right. And it allows you to wear what you want to wear. Not something like, if you can't find it out there, it allows you to create something that you want to wear. What about you, baby? What inspired you to say, this is what I want to do?
So for me, what inspired me, well, actually, the whole reason why I got behind building flower bouquets was because my grandpa, who passed away a couple years ago, he it was like my first ever hard loss in my life, and so I would take the time out of my day with my mom to go, and we went to like Albertsons, and then we went to Trader Joe's, and we just started testing out different stores that had different flowers that we could arrange bouquets with, and so that's kind of how it started. And it was just like me and my mom would just do it here and there. And then one day we were at the cemetery visiting my grandpa. And my mom was like, you should start this as a brand and you could sell them at the store and it'd be so much fun. And I didn't think anything of it too much really. But then I was like, okay, like we could try it, see how it goes. But then I actually ended up really enjoying like making those bouquets and building them. And it kind of just took off from there. It was like one thing after another. I made my first logo. And yeah, but that's pretty much how that started.
And it's always like the gratification that you get from, when you create something and you hand it over to the buyer and they love it, right? Whether it's, flowers or like it's a piece of apparel that you've created that they're like, they've never seen, That's pretty dope. So now you guys have been doing this now for a couple years, right? Because I looked back and I was like, it was during the same time that he was designing the jersey. We went down to the flower district for you, and you were able to do your first wholesale purchase so that you can make those. How's that? How is it for you, Jazz? Like being able to do that, being able to go to a wholesaler and like the feeling of picking out the flowers, and then being able to, purchase it with your own money and then being able to create for somebody.
Yeah, I feel like seeing the growth from starting off at a grocery store and you're just picking out whatever you can literally find. Like if I take a last minute order and it's at and I have to get the flowers from the grocery store, I'm literally like scrounging for whatever flowers I could find just to build something presentable that I like, that I know I feel confident in giving away. But going to the wholesale flower and actually like being able to pick exactly what I want and me having to do the math in my head, like how much do I need to buy? How much do I need to spend? It's like a whole other feeling. Like the wholesaler is just like,
it's a whole nother experience, right? Yeah, because it's not just whatever's there, it's whatever's there multiplied by 1,000.
Right.
And
It's
then
more like whatever
you want,
I want.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
You're right. What about you, son? Like, I know, and maybe you can speak on it a little bit. Like, what is it that you do? Like my son has a brand, but his brand is not like my brand. My brand, I buy blanks and I create art and we put them on t-shirts and we sell them. His is a little bit different. Maybe you could touch on that. Let them know exactly what it is that you do with your brand, and let them know, you know, with his brand, by the way, is sold out. So let them know what it is that you do, and how do you go about creating the different pieces.
So as of right now, I'm doing one of ones. I'm like second handing pieces, and I'm printing on them. I'm working on them, sewing them, tailoring them, however I want them to be. Um, and that's just for the next year or so, maybe. And that's just to grow myself a good foundation. And eventually, like, my end goal is gonna be like, I want to buy so and so amount of quantity, and I want to get it manufactured, and I want to be able to have like a flagship store somewhere sick, and then just have a bunch of pieces that all were like my idea,
Right.
and just seeing it multiplied over tens of amounts.
Because you've done that already. I remember last year you created that jacket, and we got it sourced, we got it made exactly to your specs. What'd you think about it when you first opened that package and you saw it?
It was a weird feeling for sure. Like, me, like, knowing I like drew that idea down, I made it in Illustrator, I made it in Photoshop, and then just to see it like in my hands coming from the manufacturer itself, like, that alone was like something that was super cool to me, super like touching to me, especially because it was inspired by my late grandpa, which is actually from his boots.
Right. I
He had a
remember
pair
that.
of boots, and I got the embroidery from the side of it, and that's what I put on the sleeve. And I so yeah, just like seeing that in person with such like a emotional like back end to it that nobody knows, to be honest.
Right.
It's just cool, like, being able to like hold it in my hands.
Right. The one thing about my son, I think this last drop, I think it was like your second drop, right? Third. Okay. One thing about my son, he creates and he's got so much in the vault, but within a week, he's moving on to something else, and then something else, and then he wants to create something else. So before you know it, he has a collection. And like, if it'd be so dope one day, eventually, it's gonna be so dope to like to have it up on the screen so that you guys can see his process, because he's not like me. Like, I design artwork to put on t-shirts and that's it, and I just want to sell it. He goes into like detail, like everything, the buttons, how the pocket's gonna look, how the jeans are gonna flare, like just everything. And then before you know it, he's on to something else, which is crazy. Where do you think you found your inspiration from? Or like, is there a person, is there a designer, is there someone that you find that you've found inspiration from, that you're like, man, I like the way he did this, or he's done this?
I think, like, starting out, like when I first started, I was very inspired by like you. And that was for like the good of like amount of time. And when I started actually like getting into like fashion and things like that, another person who like greatly inspired me was Virgil Abloh, rest in peace. Because when I saw him work on a collection with Nike, it was the 10. It had the ones, it had the dunks, it had everything. And that was what kind of like started up, it like kicked it off. And then I saw him go from like that to like Louis Vuitton, being the creative director for menswear. And then that was kind of like inspired me, because while he was getting to Louis Vuitton, I started shifting into fashion, and seeing him work on the 10, me designing sneakers, and then us like translating ourselves at the same time, that was super sick to see. And he was just someone that like inspired me. Like, I don't know what it was, but it was always like every time he would drop something, like that, like fall winter 2021 collection that he did with Louis Vuitton was amazing. And it always like, it's always something I look back on, and seeing his whole creative process too, with his websites and everything was just, it was inspiring to me. And that's how I wanted to make my things. So like everything I kind of make is like inspired by that for sure.
Dope. What about you, baby? Is there anyone or anything besides Grandpa? Because obviously that's, the person that, and rest in peace, Grandpa, but that's the person that inspired you because of that to be able to create. But is there someone out there that you look at and you're like, man, I'm inspired by this person, so I want to keep going. I want to get really, really good at this.
I mean, for the most part, there's not like one singular person. Like Rudy, he has his one person, Virgil. Mine, I think it's really just my family. It would be Rudy, my dad, and my mom. Because at the time when I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do, I had no clue what I wanted to do. And it was kind of defeating in a way. Like, you have Rudy over here. He's going to Ohio. He's going to Cleveland. He's doing All-Star Weekend. My dad, he's built an amazing brand for himself with a great foundation. And then my mom was getting started on Pretty Little Puppy too. And so it was all like kind of happening at once. And I was just like, dang, like I need to get into something. Like it's time. And I always told my dad, like, I'm just not creative. I don't draw. I don't paint. I didn't have any outlets. And so with their help and in a way, they're the way that they're creative with their own things, it helped motivate me to find my own thing. And because I also wanted to have my own thing, and so that's how
I like how you took that negative feeling that you had by watching your brother, myself, mom. You took that and you turned it into a positive. Like you said, instead of really because I remember having conversations with you where you're like, Dad, I'm just not creative. I don't know what to do. Like, remember you were trying to do rings at first, and then you were, like little things here and there. And I'm just happy. And, everything happens for a reason at the right time. And unfortunately, of course, like we're going back to Grandpa, but he allowed you to this gift that you have
to really like
to blossom and take off, so now you guys have been doing this, you've been doing it a little bit longer than your sister. How does it feel like to say that you're an entrepreneur?
For me, I feel like for me to go out there and say, oh, this is my own business, it's like I don't know, it's kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like a bittersweet feeling, because it's like the way that my business started, obviously, and then what it's become now, it's bittersweet. But it's also me with, like my dad was saying, I have 2 jobs. I have to manage my money. I have to go to school. And I feel like it can get overwhelming sometimes. And there are times where I'm like, I really just want to take a break from doing flowers.
You have.
And I have. And especially after like big holidays, I am just so like dead, dude. Literally,
you're done with making flower arrangements.
Like done. Like, and it's just like, so it's like a mixed emotion. I love doing it. I love creating, but it's also managing my social life on top of that. So having to go to school, having to go to work, hanging out with my friends when I can. It's like,
it's manageable. Yeah. But as long as you schedule everything correctly. Yeah. I mean, which you have been, as far as school, right? You go to school. What about you, son? Like, what do you plan on doing? Like, you're about to be a senior in high school, and I keep telling you, I want you to go to Oregon, right? I want you to be a Duck, but I'm not gonna force it on you. What is it that you that you see yourself doing after high school?
I definitely want to just be able to like have the opportunity to create. So like whether it's like going to like an arts program or even Oregon, like they have design programs and stuff like that there. Like whatever it is, I just want to have the opportunity to create at a higher level than what I am here, like at the house. Like at the house, I have like a sewing machine and I have fabric.
Which,
Like,
by the way, this sewing machine I've had for years. It's industrial. Like we used to sew tags. Like we used to do, little things here and there. And we brought it out. Like, and he learned this thing by going on YouTube. And that's another thing, like that I wanted to say too, because a lot of times I have people that want to start something and they're so afraid, but it's so easy now. Like if you really have it in you to do it, it's so easy because like you get inspired by other florists that are doing videos on TikTok, Instagram, whatever. Like I want to learn how to sew. You don't go out looking for someone to teach you. You just go on YouTube, type, I have this sewing machine or whatever you do. And there's a video or something of someone showing you how to do it. So it becomes a lot easier, so all of you guys out there that, feel like, or you want to do something, the resources are out there. It's just a matter of you wanting to do it. Can I tell you guys something that I really miss?
I already know what you're going to say.
What is it?
Okay, go. You say first.
I miss watching you guys play basketball. I do. And, my daughter, she played, did you play all 4 years in high school? You did, right?
Yeah.
She was a baller, man, especially last year. She was balling out. My son's played also, but I think he, basketball took a back seat to all his, his creative thinking, which I'm okay with too. Like, again, like I don't think I've ever forced anything on you guys. Like you tried playing soccer, you didn't like it. We didn't force it. Like, okay, she don't want to play soccer. I tried taking you to baseball. You hated it. So I was like, all right, cool. He ain't playing baseball. You play football, you play basketball. Like you guys have done a lot of different things. But I do miss that because, man, it was so fun for me, like being able to take off, especially if it was an away game, going to the away game, watching you guys play. After the game, we go get something to eat. It just feels different than just being stuck here in the AV. So let me ask you first, what is your goal? Let's say 5 years from now, right? Where do you see your brand? Where do you see your brand at 5 years from now?
I think ultimately 5 years from now, I just want to be happy and content, whether that is with me doing the full-blown florist thing or it's not. And I just like right now I'm in the headspace that it's like
like are you like 100% on it or not 100% on it yet?
To be honest, I'm really not. And I think that that's okay because
Right.
I don't need to know right now. I don't need to know like, oh, I need to become a florist by this year. Like I need to become professional, And because it's such a big industry, there's so many different things that I could choose. And so it's kind of just like right now testing the waters in a way. Like this past year, I've done, I think 3 weddings already. Just in 2024 alone. And so I've already gotten the vibe for like wedding flowers and what it consists of. But it's also a very draining thing to do. And so
especially when it's just you, like
right,
you by yourself, on top of having, a couple jobs, on top of school, on top of social life and everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think because of everything going on in my life right now, it's kind of hard to say I'm 100% dedicated to it because I'm really not. But it's also not something that I'm just like completely pushing to the side. I don't want to do anymore because I love doing it. I just want to be
At times.
happy.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about too. Like you can't make it a job. once you make it a job,
Exactly.
then it becomes draining. You know,
Mhm.
like if that's your gift, you have to allow it for you to enjoy it.
Right.
You know,
And I
if
really
you,
want to
and
take my time with it too.
with it, right?
Hmm.
What about you, son? Like, where do you see your brand or yourself in 5 years?
Whether it's like realistic or not, I like definitely see myself in like a LA studio.
So in 5
Like,
years, you're gonna be 21, 22, right? Somewhere around there. Yep. Okay.
yeah, like I see myself
And it's always good
in,
too, like to put it out there in the universe. You know, we have to like you got to put it out there. You know, if you
yeah,
believe in it, like it can happen. Like it can definitely happen.
yeah. So like I'm gonna work as hard as I can. 'Cause if I like this past month that I've had my job, if I keep that consistent every single month for the next 5 years, then that is somewhere I will be. Like I'm gonna that's my goal on my little goal list right now is just work hard enough to where I can make it to LA, one of the biggest fashion houses in the world. And on top of that, in LA for things I make, for things I created with my hands. Like
Right.
that's something I want to have and that's something I believe I will have in 5 years.
Man, that's dope. So, you know, I know you guys have watched my podcast. When I have my guest on here, I always allow them to ask me a question,
Okay.
right? So this is that time. I'm gonna allow you to ask me a question, and I'm gonna have to answer it. So I don't know who wants to go first, but the mic is all yours.
Okay. So this is my question. My question is, what would be your dream, like for this podcast, what would be your dream setup? Like what would you want in there? Like every single detail, the minifigures, the cool collectibles, the background, the little setup that you're actually sitting at. Like what do you want in there in detail?
Um, you know, like when this was built out, it wasn't built out for this, right? For this platform. I built it out thinking I just want it to look like a bar, but we're gonna, you know, we're gonna fold shirts here, whatever. Like this is where we were printing and shipping. I like this setup, obviously. And you know, like when I jump into doing something, right? I don't know if you guys were like, damn, my dad's doing a podcast. Like I never saw myself doing a podcast, right? But now that I am, every single day, you guys see it every single day. I'm watching a podcast. I'm watching different ones. I'm watching the setup because I'm very visual, right? So honestly, I like this setup, but I also like the setup of being like more intimate, like in a living room, but with posters of my inspiration, you know, whether it's Jordan, whether it's Tinker Hatfield, you know, whether it's Dr. Dre. Like I just want people that have inspired me on the wall. So as soon as I walk in, like that's the first thing I see, you know, Scarface, like whatever it is that inspires me. The minute I walk through those doors to do the show, I want to be inspired. So it's going to be something like that, where it's going to be more of it's like a living room setup, you know, more
Like
chill.
couches.
Because a lot of times too, like sitting here, like it becomes especially when they're longer shows, it becomes a little uncomfortable. So I just want my guests, I want myself to be comfortable, but you know, the visuals have to be right. Like the chairs, the table, the books, like everything that I set up needs to look right. So I think that would be the ideal setup for myself. I know when we first started, we were using the headphones. I didn't like it. So I asked Mike, and then he's like, yeah, we can do it without it. So this feels more organic for me. So I enjoy this. But yeah, to answer your question, it would be that, like a little more intimate, more relaxed. Because this doesn't feel like super relaxed. If, you know, it's like after a while, like it just, you know, it's a little uncomfortable. But yeah, that would be it. What about you, baby?
Hmm. Okay, let me think.
I know I told your brother that I was going to do that.
I know.
But
okay, let me think. Okay.
And I like that rumor shirt that you're wearing,
Oh,
by the
yeah.
way, baby.
Thank you.
You're repping.
As a dad, what are probably like your top 3 most proudest moments you've had with me and Rudy?
One, you guys being fucking great kids. Like, you guys get along so good, right? And we, Mom and I have had conversations, and we're like, damn, they get along so good. And it's, like, it's not like 2 boys or 2 girls. It's like a boy and a girl. So it's just so dope to see that you guys, and I'm happy that we had you guys, within a couple years of each other. You guys can hang out. You guys can, now that you guys are driving, you guys can go different places together, and it's okay. So for me, it's that. Like, you guys are great kids. You guys are great, great kids. And I appreciate you guys for that, because it makes, our life is already hectic as it is. Like, you guys already see it. Like, it's hectic. So you guys make it super easy when it comes down to you guys. Mm-hmm. Number 2 would be you guys becoming entrepreneurs. Again, like, it's not something that Mom or myself forced on you guys. It was just something that came out. I still remember you like wanting to take apart my Nikes, so that you could look at the air bubble and then try to put them back together. And then you too wanting to do the rings, or wanting to do this, and then eventually wanting me to, take you down to the flower district. Like, those are moments for me that I always, they're dear to my heart, because I'm an entrepreneur. Mom's the same. So it's like you guys are following in our footsteps, doing your own thing. So that's awesome too. Like to see, and then two, like, and then the third one, it would be, man, you guys just don't give us no fucking headaches, man. Like, you guys don't give, you guys really don't. Like, all I have to say is, like, I need you guys to do your chores, get them done, and then that's it. Like, they get done. Like, I just don't really have headaches with you guys, and I love it, and I just want to say, like, I'm really proud of you guys. Like, I appreciate you guys coming on the show. And I appreciate you guys being part of this. And I'm just really, really proud of you guys. And I know you guys, once you guys put it out in the universe, it's going to happen, whether it's the flowers or, what you're going to school for, or whatever it is. Like, and then you too, son, like, whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's to move to LA and get yourself a place down there where you can work and live that life, you're putting it out there, and I believe it could happen. So, but thank you guys for coming on. I want to bring my wife, your mom, on here for some last words. Where's she at?
Yo.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
where you going?
I'm
Sit
here.
Right here, babe. Yeah, this was dope.
This is us.
Yeah, this
is us.
This was dope.
I think as a family we went through a lot. I think we've supported each other. I think that's the number one thing. Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt, but that's how I roll. I'm so proud of my kids. They're so amazing. God truly blessed me with an amazing family. But at the end of the day, we never gave up, through heartaches and trials and tribulations. We stuck together as a family, and now we get to build amazing businesses. And I couldn't be more proud of my kids.
And they've seen it all. You know what I mean?
They've seen
like,
it all, and they won't hide it. And
the one thing too, like, I want to say, like, about our kids, like, there's been a couple times when, we're not getting along, and we've had meetings because of them. Like, they're the ones that say, you know what, everybody needs to meet in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We're gonna meet in the kitchen, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna go over everything, and we're gonna talk it out, and then it feels good, especially coming from them. Like they see it.
They saw it. They went through a lot. And then
they're the ones helping us get through everything. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's another thing that that we appreciate about you guys.
I couldn't
you guys
be
are being real.
more proud of my kids. I know that God gave us them to be able to hold us together, and they've been my everything for me personally. I'm super proud of my kids, and they give us life. So we appreciate that. We honor that. And life is hard. Life is a struggle. And when you come together as a unit, I think that that's what defines love, you know. So for us, it's love, and I'm so proud of both of them, and I love my husband, and I know I'm a crazy little, you know what, but we fight the fight together, you know. So I'm thankful.
Yeah. So thank you guys. This was the Family Ties episode 10. We're closing off season 1. Looking forward to season 2. As you guys can see, like, I never saw myself even doing one of these, and here we are. You know, it feels so good to have my family on for the last one. And yeah, man, just keep watching, keep
grinding, keep hustling,
and
don't give up.
And too, like, as far as us, like, in this platform, you know, the only way I could get better is if the feedback is there. So I got thick skin, as you guys can see. Like, I, you know, just give it to me, man. And yeah, we're gonna get this thing going. But thank you guys.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll see you guys on the next one, season 2 coming up.
Yay!
That was great.